Welcome to our detailed instructional video on the carcinogenicity of welding fumes. Today we'll delve into the serious health risks associated with welding fumes and why it's crucial to understand these dangers. Welding fumes contain a mixture of airborne particles and gases that can pose significant health risks. Among these, the carcinogenic risks are particularly concerning. Studies have shown that exposure to welding fumes can lead to lung and ocular cancers. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, or IARC, has classified welding fumes as Group 1 carcinogens, meaning they are confirmed to be cancer-causing to humans. This classification underscores the importance of taking protective measures when working with welding equipment. One of the most severe health risks from welding fumes is lung cancer. The particles in these fumes can be inhaled deeply into the lungs, leading to chronic respiratory issues and, over time, increasing the risk of lung cancer. It's essential to be aware of these risks and to use appropriate protective equipment and ventilation systems to minimize exposure. By understanding and mitigating these dangers, we can create a safer working environment for everyone involved in welding activities. Now, let's talk about ocular cancer risks. Welding fumes have been linked to an increased risk of ocular cancer. This type of cancer affects the eyes, and prolonged exposure to harmful fumes can be a significant risk factor. It's crucial for welders to take protective measures to safeguard their vision and overall eye health. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, or IARC, has classified welding fumes as a Group 1 carcinogen. This means that there is sufficient evidence to conclude that welding fumes can cause cancer in humans. The IARC's findings highlight the importance of taking necessary precautions to minimize exposure to these hazardous fumes. In conclusion, the risks associated with welding fumes are significant and should not be underestimated. From lung cancer to ocular cancer, the potential health impacts are severe. By understanding these risks and following safety guidelines, welders can better protect themselves from these dangers. Always remember, safety first. In March 2017, 17 scientists from 10 countries met at the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, in Lyon, France, to evaluate the carcinogenicity of welding, molybdenum trioxide and indium tin oxide. These assessments are detailed in volume 118 of the IARC monographs. Worldwide, an estimated 11 million workers hold the job title of welder, with around 110 million additional workers likely exposed to welding-related hazards. Welding can involve exposure to fumes, gases, radiation, and even co-exposures to asbestos and solvents. The process, material welded, ventilation, degree of enclosure, and use of personal protection all influence exposure levels. Previously, in 1989, the IARC classified welding fumes as possibly carcinogenic to humans, Group 2B, based on limited evidence. However, substantial new evidence from observational and experimental studies has since emerged. In the present evaluation, welding fumes and UV radiation from welding have been classified as carcinogenic to humans, Group 1. Arc welding generates UV radiation, a known risk factor for ocular melanoma, a rare cancer. Various ocular disorders such as cataracts or keratoconjunctivitis also occur in welders and nearby workers. Sufficient evidence for the carcinogenicity of UV radiation from welding came from multiple case control and cohort studies. Most of these studies showed positive associations with risks of developing ocular melanoma increased by 2-fold to 10-fold. Welding fumes are produced when metals heated above their melting point vaporize and condense into fine particles. Numerous studies, including over 20 case control studies and nearly 30 occupational or population-based cohort studies, have reported increased risks of lung cancer in welders exposed to these fumes. Even after adjusting for potential confounders like asbestos exposure and tobacco smoking, the positive associations persisted. For kidney cancer, increased risks were reported in nearly all relevant studies, although few adjusted for solvents used alongside welding. However, for other cancers, the evidence remains inadequate due to inconsistent findings or potential confounding factors. The working group concluded that there is sufficient evidence in humans that welding fumes cause lung cancer and limited evidence for kidney cancer. Evidence in experimental animals for the carcinogenicity of welding fumes is also limited, but suggests chronic inflammation and immunosuppression as potential mechanisms. These findings underscore the importance of stringent safety measures and protective equipment for those exposed to welding fumes. Understanding and mitigating these risks can significantly improve the health and safety of millions of workers worldwide.